Good evening, all. I am the Apparition. Tonight I want to talk to you about a couple of subjects that have been disturbing me in relation to both media trends, how science is being suppressed by the government, and how science is also being suppressed within our own movement. The first thing I'd like to talk about is Kristi Miller. She is a scientist with the Department of Fisheries and Oceans who was forbidden from any further testing of ISA, a type of salmon anemia, after she found it in 2 samples of wild salmon in Clayoquot Sound. This is an example of the Department of Fisheries and Oceans kowtowing to corporate interests, namely those of the fish farming industry, salmon farming to be precise. This is an example of kleptocracy and corporate interests corrupting the government. This is the sort of thing that we are attempting to fight against. We must restore rationality in science, in government, and elsewhere, if we are to be able to have a successful revolution and restore democracy. Other examples of suppression of science include the fact that if the media wish to speak to a government scientist on any subject, they first must receive clearance from the Prime Minister's office. If they receive such clearance, a public relations person goes with the scientist to the interview to monitor what the scientist says. Thus, the media doesn't get a full picture of what government science is actually finding. Coupled with the cuts to Statistics Canada and the repealing of the long-form mandatory census, there is absolutely no way by which we can measure Harper's plans. Again, suppression of science and scientific data in order so that Harper may continue with his kleptocratic plans for dominating Canada. I'd also like to talk about the infiltration of anti-science and pseudoscience within the Occupy movement. I recently took a look at the Occupy Victoria BC page on Facebook and discovered that they were heavily anti-climate change. When I say anti-climate change, they were posting various links that were saying that climate change is a hoax and does not exist. On top of that, they also believed that there was a link between vaccines and autism, despite the fact that the Wakefield study which was done on it was repealed from the Lancet. Coupled with these two factors, I am believing that there may be anti-science infiltrators and agents provocateurs, such as the one who tried to attack me at Occupy Nova Scotia some years ago, infiltrating our movement. We must be ever vigilant that the sort of anti-science and anti-progressive elements do not infiltrate the movement and do everything in their power to try to stop us. We must act with civil disobedience, but we must act and think critically, and especially with what's being said by our fellow occupiers and fellow progressives, that thus we do not get fooled ourselves when trying to deal with them and trying to form a progressive revolution. Let that be something to think about tonight. I am the Apparition, signing off.